good. We've talked about skill. We talked about being a developer. Let's say tomorrow, Piotr, I come to you. I'm a developer. I have 3 years of experience in the software delivery industry. Okay, as a developer, I said to you, I want to become a data engineer. Because this is the fancy term everyone is looking to do. So I want to be a data engineer. How do I process with that? What are the advice as well you can give us or someone who wants to be a data engineer to become one of a data engineer?
Well, yeah. So first of all, do you really want to be a data engineer? And why? Yeah, you need to be honest here a little bit, right? Maybe that's not gonna improve the rate of new applications flowing into our companies, but it's a hard work, data engineering, right? You don't get a lot of dopamine out of being data engineer. Because, well, imagine that you develop something, you have one database, you have some files somewhere here, you develop those pipelines that just doing something, and then the only satisfaction you get is that you see that, all right, some data appear in some other table. Not very fancy. Of course, there are power business intelligence developer, data analysts, or maybe some machine learning, artificial intelligence things built on top of what you provided. Right. But before you experience that, you are already focused on something else. Right. So it's hard to find that easy satisfaction in this work. Right. Like on the other side, I would put Figma. Right. We're working in Figma where you just immediately draw things and you have something beautiful after like maybe even 30 minutes of work. Right. Here you work hard for a long time and there's a lot of challenges. Right. So the most of the challenges data engineering is dealing with is something that requires patience, right? Just, all right, we don't have access, right? Because usually data engineering is about getting data from many sources. So sometimes we don't have access. Sometimes we get some test data that are not representative, that are of a very low quality. So you constantly dealing with some hurdles and difficulties, right? So it's for some sort of a special type of people. Of course, at the end, there is some good, I think, dose of serotonin that you feel like, all right, we did it, we accomplished that. But you have to work hard to get there. But on the other hand, there are some good things about data engineering, right? Is that you know that we are the backbone of everything, right? We are like a plumbers, right? We are not the fancy people in front of your TV screen, but we are those people who do the work in the background, right? So whatever you see a lot around happening, especially with this AI interest happening right now, you know that at the back there's a lot of data engineering. So that also gives you some kind of a security. The data engineering is not gonna go anywhere, right? Data engineers are still in high demand. And I think among all other professionals in IT, data engineers, especially people who can do engineering and data and understand data and are resourceful enough to deal with various problems, these people will always be in demand, or we will be the last one to go, right? The AI is not really taking jobs yet, I think, even though we are being kind of scared by this. But the layoffs, of course, that we observe in IT industry have some other reasons, most probably. But still, it's going to happen probably someday that, yeah, a lot of work may be reduced, right? A good engineer with AI is so much more productive. That is great. A bad data engineer with AI is also so much productive, which is actually problematic. And we see some of the reports already, I think, published by GitHub, that the quality of the code since the use of GitHub Copilot decreased significantly, right? It's like the code is bloated and very much repeating itself. So a good data engineer will always be there. And also as a data engineers, we usually work for big corporations, big companies, right? Like imagine a small startup that needs to do some data engineering, right? They would just have one of their engineers to do it. But the big companies, especially that have regulatory requirements, they always need those processes to happen, and not one off, but just to keep on going, right? So data engineering definitely is a safe job, is giving you some good satisfaction, but has its own difficulties, right? But now, if you go through that and are you still wanting to be a data engineer with that? So if I didn't scare you away with what I said, I can tell you that, if you have your software engineering skills in place, like preferably, Python, but if you're good with Java and Scala or other object-oriented language or functional language, you should be pretty fine switching to Python. But your software engineering skills have to be in place. You need to know how to use Git. You need to have some idea how to deploy software. So once you are there, then we need to check how is your SQL skills, right? And it's not about that you know how to put a SQL statement, but how do you know how to use it, right? Like most of the developers, software engineers, when they have to join two tables, they would go like, all right, so I open one table, I run that one loop, and then I put a nested loop through another table so I can find matching objects, right? That's the software developer mindset, right? As data engineers, we know we do something else, right? We say, right, this is one table, this is the other table. I use the join operation or join operator, and the engine, is it the Spark or database engine or whatever else, is taking care. So I'm not coding the transformation itself. I need to understand it. All right, I'm more in something that we used to call fourth generation language, where you specify what you want to happen, not exactly how, right? Because the engine optimizes, but you need to understand how all that works, right? So you need to change this mindset to be eligible. For me, I remember the first time using SQL was like, why can't I just open table and run a loop, and then open one more table and run nested loops and combine, right? I remember 20 something years ago, still I was like, well, why can't I do it, right? But then I realized, all right, this is better actually, because this frees my mind that I don't need to worry about how to implement those details, but I'm more into, all right, what needs to happen and how to properly arrange it to make a sustainable, maintainable process that brings the results in some kind of a repetitive way, right? So that's why we need make sure that you're good with SQL, something more than select asterisk from foo. And then I would tell you, right, so you need to figure out which platform you want to work with, right? Like, are you going to work with some SQL databases or maybe Spark? I mean, going with Spark is a very easy answer. You can't go wrong, right? Spark is almost everywhere when it comes to data engineering these days. So if you learn some basics of Spark, that's good. Probably you may already have some experience with Pandas, which is a very similar concept, very similar library. So about transforming data using data frame concept. So that's the second thing. So SQL, then Spark, or some other platform. Maybe if you stick with databases, then probably maybe you don't. Once you're good with SQL, that's going to be fine. And then, of course, it's good that you dive deeper into some concepts, like database concepts, things that we were talking about, like how to model data, normalization, and then you can even dive deeper into more modern things like data lake houses, how to work with those things. So SQL, Spark, right, to make it simple for you, and then start to learning how to apply that when working with databases or more kind of analytical oriented solutions like data warehouses or data lake houses.
Yes, to be very honest with you, yes, it's scary to be an data. Not from what you've said, but just due to the fact of lack of knowledge. Okay, if you look at it, Piotr, you're someone who's exposed from it from a very well beginning, 20 years plus. You've worked a lot around it. When you look at that today's world, when you talk to developers, they go for the fancy things. Hey, it's data, it's AI, it's related to this, so let's do this. So the way you explain it is very simple. It's very clear how we can proceed with that. Definitely, if I was to get to data engineering, you will be my mentor. I will be every day, every night pestering you. Hey, this is not working. You know that one. How do we solve it? But yeah, it's really good. And one of the thing and how you've shared it is about the risk, right? About the AI thing, how this can impact the world, but still there
Sure.
is a job prospect around it. And you like it or not, everybody says it. Go to, especially when we work with banks, go and say to the bank, okay, an AI is going to use your data. They would say, we'll see, we'll see. When times come, we'll see, we'll see. But why? Because they know the risk behind is very high, and the demand behind getting those kind of data, especially when we work with big central bank kind of things, and we see that transaction going on, it's not that easy. Not just transaction, we talk about transformation, all those different phases. But that was definitely very inspiring rather than scary. But I hope this has been